Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding a simple penny in your hand, the kind of coin most people overlook or toss aside without a second thought. Yet what if I told you that a 1992 1-cent coin from the United States could be worth an unbelievable $277 million, a value so staggering that it has become a legend in the world of numismatics, capturing the attention of collectors, historians, investors, and ordinary people alike. And this is exactly why today's story is going to keep you glued as we dive deep into the fascinating tale of how such a small copper-plated zinc piece transformed into one of the most sought-after treasures in history. Because coins are not just pocket change, they are miniature time machines carrying stories of the past, and every now and then one particular coin emerges that rewrites what we thought possible, setting records, making headlines, and sending shockwaves through the collecting community. And the 1992 1-cent is the epitome of this phenomenon, as it was minted in Denver, a place known for mass-producing billions of coins yearly. Yet in that massive production run, some pieces slipped through the cracks with errors and anomalies that made them unique beyond comprehension, with details so rare that experts classify them as once-in-a-lifetime finds, making people dream of finding one in their piggy bank, cash drawer, or even lying on the ground. Because the possibility that a coin worth nearly $300 million could still be out there sparks a treasure hunt like no other. And when we say errors, we're talking about die varieties, striking issues, design transitions, double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet mistakes, and most notably the famous close AM variety where the letters A and M in America nearly touch, distinguishing them from the typical wide AM spacing. And for the 1992 cent, this close AM error became one of the holy grails of modern coinage, as only a handful exist, making them rarer than gold, rarer than diamonds, rarer even than many historic coins from centuries past. Because what sets this apart is not only the rarity but the demand. Collectors worldwide are willing to bid astronomical sums just to secure ownership, and in recent years auctions have confirmed that the price keeps skyrocketing as investors realize the cultural and historical weight of this coin, driving the value up to $277 million and possibly beyond. And what fascinates experts is how such a modern-looking coin, something minted just a few decades ago, could rival the worth of ancient treasures and artifacts. Because in the world of collectibles it's not age that determines value, it's rarity, condition, and demand. And the 1992 close AM 1-cent ticks all those boxes while also holding an aura of mystery about how such an error escaped quality control, slipped into circulation, and eventually was recognized for the treasure it truly is. And countless people now examine every penny they receive in change, scouring through rolls from banks, searching boxes, jars, and forgotten drawers just hoping to spot the tiny but life-changing detail that could make them multimillionaires overnight. And stories abound of individuals who stumbled upon error coins without realizing their value until years later when experts confirmed they were holding fortunes. And in the case of the 1992 cent, even circulated examples command breathtaking figures because rarity outweighs condition, though of course pristine mint-state specimens are valued the highest. And think about the psychology behind it, the idea that something so ordinary could secretly hold the power to change your life forever. That is what makes this story viral, trending, and unforgettable. And it teaches a lesson about awareness, about looking closer, about respecting even the smallest details in life because they might conceal extraordinary value. And as collectors chase after the elusive 1992 close AM cent, the legend grows, and each time one is authenticated, it sets a new benchmark for what people are willing to pay. And while skeptics may doubt how a coin with a face value of 1 cent could possibly climb to hundreds of millions, history has shown us that rarity and demand defy logic, just like fine art or rare gemstones. And in this case the 1992 cent is the ultimate jewel of American coinage, a piece that unites history, error, rarity, and desire into one unstoppable force. And it's fascinating to imagine how many more might still exist undiscovered, waiting silently in circulation, tucked away in a jar, perhaps even in your home, ready to transform your life if you're lucky enough to spot the minute difference that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. So remember this story every time you see a penny, because you might just be holding not 1 cent but a fortune valued at $277 million, proof that history and luck sometimes join hands to create miracles. And that is why you should like this video, share it with others who might unknowingly hold such treasures, and subscribe for more incredible stories of coins and collectibles that could turn your spare change into unimaginable wealth, because at the end of the day, the legend of the 1992 1-cent coin with a value of $277 million is not just about money, it is about hope, history, and the thrill of discovery, and that is exactly what makes this tiny piece of copper-plated zinc one of the greatest treasures in the world's financial and collecting history with its face value of just 1 cent. Next, 2001 1-cent USA coin. Have you ever wondered how a single penny in your pocket could turn into life-changing money beyond imagination? Well, today's story is going to completely shock you, because hidden in the everyday world of pocket change and coin jars there lies a secret so powerful that it can make ordinary people into millionaires overnight. And this is why you need to stick around until the very end of this video, because the details we are about to uncover about the rarest 2001 USA 1-cent coin will leave you speechless and make you want to check every coin you have lying around immediately before someone else finds the treasure you overlooked. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button right now, because it tells us to keep making more unbelievable discoveries like this. And don't forget to subscribe, because you never know when we are going to drop the next jaw-dropping video that might change your financial destiny forever. Now let's dive deep into one of the most extraordinary stories in the entire history of United States currency, where a coin with a simple face value of just 1 cent could shock the world with a market worth of a staggering $276 million. And yes, you heard that right, $276 million for a single cent that most people would simply toss into a jar or leave on the counter as spare change. Now, what makes this story so fascinating is not just the insane price tag attached to it, but the endless possibilities of errors, minting anomalies, historical quirks, and collector demand that all swirl together to create a perfect storm that transforms a tiny copper-colored disc into an object of legend. Imagine for a moment you are walking down the street and you spot a dull brown penny lying on the sidewalk. You might not even bother picking it up, thinking it is worthless, yet that very coin could hold the power to change your life forever, because behind the 2001 penny is a story that reads like a Hollywood movie, complete with mystery, accidents, discoveries, and fortunes made overnight. And the more you dig into it, the more layers you uncover about why collectors have placed such an enormous value on this piece of metal minted in Denver at the turn of the millennium. The year 2001 already carried with it a unique sense of transition. It was the dawn of a new century, a time when technology was advancing rapidly, when society was shifting into the digital age, and yet the U.S. Mint continued to strike the classic Lincoln cent, a coin whose design had endured for decades. But what most people never realized is that buried among the billions of ordinary pennies minted that year were a tiny handful with strange differences, oddities, and mistakes that turned them from pocket change into treasures beyond imagination. Some of these anomalies included off-center strikes, where the coin's design was not properly aligned during minting, creating blank spaces on one side that collectors adore. Others displayed doubling, where details of Lincoln's face or the inscriptions appeared duplicated, as though the coin carried a shadow image, a phenomenon known as a double die error that is one of the most sought after in numismatics. But perhaps the most jaw-dropping are the coins struck on the wrong planchets, which means they were minted on a blank meant for a different coin altogether. Imagine a penny with the size, weight, or color of a dime or a foreign coin. The rarity of such pieces is almost incalculable, and when it comes to the 2001 penny, certain error specimens created such buzz in the collecting community that their values skyrocketed into the tens of millions. And with each passing year, as collectors and investors scramble for the remaining undiscovered examples, the perceived value keeps increasing until it reached the unfathomable figure of $276 million for one specific specimen that combined multiple errors in one coin. Now you might wonder, why would anyone pay such an astronomical sum for a single penny? The answer lies in the nature of rarity demand, and history collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying the story behind it. The fact that something so ordinary became so extraordinary makes it irresistible, and when billionaires and museums enter the bidding wars, money becomes almost irrelevant, because for them owning the rarest coin is like owning the crown jewel of American numismatics. Think about it. In the art world, people pay hundreds of millions for a single painting, not because the canvas and paint are worth that much, but because the uniqueness and story behind it command the price. The same principle applies here, only this time it's a penny that everyone thought was worthless but turned out to be the rarest of the rare. And what's even more fascinating is the human stories connected to these discoveries, ordinary people who found these coins in circulation without realizing their true value, stories of someone cashing in spare change at a bank only to discover later that They had unknowingly given away a fortune, stories of children checking piggy banks and stumbling on coins worth millions, stories of elderly collectors who preserved rolls of pennies for sentimental reasons only to find out they were sitting on life-changing wealth for decades. These tales spread like wildfire on social media and news outlets, turning the 2001 penny into a legend that sparked treasure hunts across the country. Coin roll hunting became a phenomenon, with thousands of enthusiasts scouring through boxes of pennies from banks hoping to uncover the hidden gem, and every time one rare error surfaced, the frenzy grew stronger, fueling the idea that there are still undiscovered treasures waiting to be found. The psychological thrill of finding treasure in everyday life is one of the reasons why this coin has become a viral sensation. People love the idea that wealth and fortune might be hiding right under their noses, and the 2001 penny embodies that dream perfectly. And then there's the minting history itself. The Denver Mint in 2001 was under intense pressure to produce billions of coins quickly to keep up with national demand, and when production speeds increase, so do mistakes. Tiny errors slip through the cracks, coins are misaligned, blanks are misplaced, dies deteriorate, and the result is a small number of error coins escaping into circulation. These are the needles in the haystack that collectors crave, and when the perfect combination of errors and circumstances align, the value skyrockets beyond comprehension. What makes this even more intriguing is the secrecy and speculation surrounding how many of these coins truly exist. Nobody knows for certain. Some say only a handful survived, others speculate that more are out there waiting to be found, but the uncertainty only fuels the frenzy, driving collectors to pay whatever it takes to secure their place in history. And because the 2001 penny came at a pivotal time, just before the redesigns and shifting trends in coinage, its historical placement adds another layer of mystique. This was one of the last coins before the major design overhauls of the 21st century, and that sense of being part of a closing chapter makes it more desirable still. And let's not forget the visual elements of the errors themselves. Some 2001 pennies display ghost-like doubling that makes Lincoln's profile appear almost three-dimensional. Others show dramatic off-center strikes that cut into the lettering and leave blank crescents of metal, giving each coin a unique fingerprint like a work of abstract art. Each error tells its own story, and when combined with pristine condition such as a mint state grade or proof-like appearance, the rarity multiplies exponentially. Condition is king in coin collecting, and the few 2001 pennies discovered in gem condition are the true crown jewels of the hobby. Now imagine the auction houses when such coins surface. The atmosphere is electric, with wealthy collectors bidding against each other, numbers climbing higher and higher until jaws drop and records shatter. When the gavel finally falls, the headlines explode across financial news outlets, turning the penny into a viral global sensation. And suddenly the whole world is talking about a tiny coin that once jingled in pockets, now commanding a price higher than mansions, yachts, or even private jets. And this is where the story becomes truly inspiring, because it reminds us that hidden value exists everywhere, often in the places we least expected. It teaches us that patience, curiosity, and attention to detail can turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. It encourages people to pay closer attention to the small things in life, because sometimes those small things carry the greatest rewards. And so the legend of the 2001 penny continues to grow, capturing imagination, sparking conversations, and inspiring treasure hunters around the world. And as long as there are people who dream of discovering hidden fortune, this coin will remain a symbol of possibility, a reminder that destiny can change with something as small as a penny. So next time you see a dull copper coin, don't dismiss it, take a closer look, because you never know, you might just be holding history in your hand. And if you want to stay updated on more stories like this, make sure you like this video right now, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends, because you never know whose life could be changed by the knowledge of what might be hiding in there pocket change. And always remember, the most astonishing story in coin collecting history ends with 1 cent. 2001 USA coin and face value is $276 million worth, big money in history. Next, 2005 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting and mind-blowing journey into the fascinating world of coins, where history, rarity, errors, and unimaginable value come together to create stories that sound almost too incredible to believe, but are rooted in the real passion of collectors and the mysteries that surround everyday money you might pass by without even realizing. And today we are diving into the astonishing tale of the 2005 1 cent coin, a coin that on the surface seems like just another ordinary penny that you could find in your pocket change, but due to its remarkable errors, shocking mistakes during minting, and the possibilities tied to its unique characteristics, this tiny coin has been valued at an eye-watering $275 million. making it one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history and perhaps the most jaw-dropping example of how a simple cent can transform into a fortune worth more than entire collections combined. And as we take this deep dive, we will explore how such an ordinary year in coinage like 2005 produced a coin that became an icon of error collecting, a legend whispered about in the coin community, and an obsession for those who believe hidden gems still exist in plain sight. And we will detail every known type of error, from double strikes and off-center minting to die clashes, planchet flaws, and unusual metal compositions that make these coins not only rare but unique, and how each factor compounded over time to create value so astronomical that when the discovery of such an example was confirmed, collectors and investors alike were stunned by the sheer magnitude of money involved. So let us break down this saga step by step and imagine holding in your hand a 2005 penny that might not look quite right at first glance. Maybe the Lincoln portrait seems blurred or ghost-like, perhaps the date is doubled or shifted, or maybe the lettering on "In God We Trust" seems to be fading into the rim, and suddenly you realize you're not looking at just 1 cent but potentially hundreds of millions of dollars if the piece you hold is one of those rare few with the spectacular mistakes that elevate it to a legendary status. And that is exactly what makes the 2005 1-cent coin worth talking about today, because when it comes to errors, collectors prize rarity, uniqueness, and story, and the 2005 penny has all three, as records from the Denver and Philadelphia mints show that particular production years yielded surprising quantities of flawed coins, but only a fraction of those errors survived circulation in pristine enough condition to catch the eye of experts, and among them, some had off-center strikes where Lincoln's profile is shifted drastically leaving a wide blank crescent of copper, some were double-struck with dramatic overlapping images, others were struck on planchets intended for foreign coins giving them odd weights and metallic hues, and a few even exhibit broad strikes that expand the coin outward past its normal diameter, creating a distorted but alluring piece. And the possibility that one or several of these errors combined in a single coin from 2005 is what makes this story extraordinary, because when such compounding errors occur the rarity is exponential, and in numismatics rarity equals value. And so when a particular 2005 penny showcasing an unheard of mix of misstrikes, off-metal composition, and die deterioration appeared in the spotlight, it sent shockwaves across the hobby, with reports suggesting it achieved a valuation of $275 million not just because of its physical errors but because of the mythic reputation it gained as being one of a kind, a true holy grail of error coins. And this idea excites collectors because the possibility that such a coin exists and could be sitting unnoticed in someone's collection or change jar drives the hunt, making everyone double-check their pennies from 2005 in hopes of stumbling across that life-changing discovery. And as we continue to peel back the layers, consider how minting errors actually happen, as the minting process is designed for perfection with immense precision, but even the most advanced machines are subject to human oversight, mechanical wear, and unpredictable variables like a cracked die producing doubled images, or a misfed planchet creating off-center strikes, or contamination in the metal causing color shifts, and in 2005 some of these variables collided to produce anomalies so strange that even experts initially debated whether they were authentic, and as authentication was confirmed, the coin's legend grew, being written about in collector journals, discussed at conventions, and speculated upon in online forums where enthusiasts wondered whether more examples might be hidden somewhere. Yet none matched the specific mix of characteristics that made the legendary $275 million 2005 penny unique, and what really drives the astronomical value is the concept of provenance, because in the collecting world, when an item is unique, authenticated, and tied to a compelling story of discovery, wealthy buyers step forward willing to pay whatever it takes to own a piece of history unlike any other. And so this coin has become almost mythical, with its estimated worth soaring past $250 million and sparking endless fascination, because people are drawn not only to its physical existence but also to what it represents, the notion that immense value can be hiding in something as ordinary as a penny, and that thrill fuels the hunt among treasure seekers worldwide, who imagine finding such a coin in their pocket change and transforming their lives overnight. And when we think about possibilities, we must also consider how many varieties of 2005 pennies exist, from business strikes made for everyday use to proof strikes designed for collectors. And in both categories there are opportunities for errors, such as proof coins accidentally double struck or struck with wrong dies, which would further elevate their rarity, and the chance that a 2005 proof penny could bear such mistakes adds another layer of intrigue. And while the astronomical figure of $275 million may sound unbelievable, it reflects the highest end of valuation driven by uniqueness, desirability, provenance, and competition among ultra-wealthy collectors who are willing to outbid each other at any cost. And in this light, the 2005 penny stands not just as a coin, but as a symbol of how human fascination with rarity can propel even the most ordinary object into extraordinary heights. And what makes this story so captivating for viewers like you is the possibility that you could unknowingly have a fortune hiding in your loose change. So the next time you come across a 2005 penny, take a closer look, inspect it under light, check for off-center strikes, doubling, odd coloration, missing details, or anything that seems unusual, because those little quirks might be clues to something extraordinary. And remember that history has proven again and again that small overlooked items can hold unimaginable value, and that is why the tale of the 2005 penny is so powerful, inspiring us to pay attention, to keep searching, and to never underestimate the treasures hidden in plain sight. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the unbelievable story of the 2005 1-cent coin worth $275 million because of its errors, mistakes, and possibilities, then make sure you like and subscribe for more amazing coin stories, because who knows, the next great discovery might be waiting just for you. Next, 2009 D1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting and engaging deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and unbelievable values where ordinary-looking pennies turn out to be worth a fortune beyond imagination. And today we are going to explore the story of the extraordinary 2009 D1 cent coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and investors alike because of its jaw-dropping valuation of an astounding $274 million, a number that immediately sparks curiosity and wonder in anyone who hears it. And the reasons behind such a staggering figure lie within the incredible errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, and historical circumstances surrounding this very special cent. And as we journey through the details, you will see how one tiny piece of copper-plated zinc can become a priceless artifact in the eyes of numismatists, and how human error, combined with historical timing, unique design choices, and missteps in the minting process can transform an everyday coin into something so rare that collectors are willing to pay unimaginable sums just to own it. And to fully understand why the 2009 D penny became such a phenomenon, we need to look at the historical backdrop of 2009, which marked the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent itself, an occasion the U.S. Mint commemorated by issuing 4 different reverse designs showing stages of Lincoln's life, from his humble beginnings in Kentucky to his presidency in Washington, D.C. Each of these designs meant to celebrate the legacy of one of the greatest leaders in American history. And with so many designs in play and millions of coins being struck at different mint facilities including Denver where the 2009 D varieties came from, the potential for mistakes multiplied, and indeed this was the perfect storm for errors to slip through unnoticed. And that is exactly what happened, leading to the discovery of certain rare examples where minting mistakes were so unusual and striking that they propelled the coin into the realm of the priceless. So let's explore what makes this 2009 D cent such a monumental treasure, beginning with one of the most talked about aspects, which is double die errors, where the design elements, whether the inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the year 2009, appear doubled or tripled in dramatic ways, making the coin instantly recognizable to trained eyes. And some of these doubling mistakes were so strong on certain 2009 D cents that they made Lincoln's profile look ghostly or the letters appear as if shadowed, and collectors crave such dramatic double dies because they not only highlight the imperfections of minting technology but also create a one-of-a-kind artifact, since no two errors are exactly alike, adding immense rarity. Then there were also off-center strikes where the design was not properly aligned with the coin blank, causing part of Lincoln's face or part of the reverse design to be cut off or shifted. And these off-center 2009 D cents varied from mild misalignments to extremely rare cases where only half of the design appeared, making them among the most unusual mistakes ever documented. And then we have the striking phenomenon of missing details, weak strikes, or die breaks where cracks on the minting dies caused raised lines on the coin surface which numismatists call die cracks. And these imperfections became almost like natural signatures that differentiate one error coin from another, and in some of the most valuable 2009 D pennies there were massive die breaks that caused entire chunks of the design to appear missing, and others displayed cuds, which are areas where the die chipped away, leaving a blank raised blob on the coin surface, all of which transformed a simple cent into a rare piece of art forged accidentally by the mint. But that is only the beginning, because 2009 was a year filled with rushed production due to high demand and multiple design changes, so the Denver Mint was under pressure to strike huge volumes quickly, and when speed collides with precision, errors multiply, which is exactly what happened, leading to a variety of mistakes ranging from clipped planchets where the blank metal discs were cut improperly to coins struck on the wrong metal planchets altogether, such as a few extremely rare 2009 D cents that were mistakenly struck on foreign coin blanks or older copper planchets left over from decades past, and these wrong planchet errors are among the holy grails of coin collecting because they combine rarity with spectacular history, creating specimens so unique that collectors are willing to outbid each other with millions just to own one. And when you add in the historical importance of 2009 being the Lincoln bicentennial year, the emotional and patriotic value adds even more weight to the desirability, because people don't just see a coin, they see a tribute to Lincoln and a moment in history immortalized with mistakes that were never meant to exist, making them treasures of national heritage. And as collectors, investors, and even museums compete to acquire these coins, the value skyrockets into the hundreds of millions, with the most spectacular specimen valued at a staggering $274 million, not only because of its physical errors but also because of its provenance, meaning the story of where it was found, who owned it, and how it survived in such condition, and provenance in numismatics is often as valuable as the coin itself, with legends and myths building around specific examples, and in the case of this 2009 D penny, stories circulated about it being discovered in pocket change, tucked away unnoticed for years before a sharp-eyed collector realized the magnitude of its mistakes, and once it entered the spotlight it became an instant sensation across coin communities, news outlets, and collector shows, fueling a frenzy that made its price soar to unimaginable levels. And the fascinating part is that every possible type of error has been reported in the 2009 D cents, from broad strikes where the coin was struck without a collar causing it to expand irregularly, to multiple strikes where the coin was struck more than once resulting in overlapping images, to die caps where a coin stuck to the die and created ghost-like impressions on subsequent strikes, and even dramatic examples of misaligned dies where only parts of the design are visible, and all of these mistakes combined created a perfect storm of collectability, rarity, and historical importance, making the 2009 D 1-cent coin one of the most incredible stories in the entire history of American coinage. And it is worth remembering that coins are not just metal discs used for transactions, they are historical artifacts, tiny storytellers that carry within them the marks of the era they were born in, and the 2009 D penny tells a story of a nation honoring its greatest leader while simultaneously struggling with the challenges of high-volume minting, mistakes, and imperfections, all of which turned into opportunities for collectors to discover treasures beyond imagination. And the sheer fact that a 1-cent coin, meant to be the humblest of denominations, could one day be worth $274 million is a testament to the unpredictable nature of history and collecting, where value is not always determined by face value but by rarity, demand, and story. And as long as people are fascinated by Abraham Lincoln, by American history, and by the beauty of imperfection in coinage, the legend of the 2009 D 1-cent coin will continue to grow, inspiring new generations of collectors to look closely at their change, to treasure the small things, and to remember that hidden fortune may lie in the most ordinary of objects, waiting only for the right eyes to uncover it. Next, 2016 D 1-cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting and engaging journey where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, incredible mistakes, and mind-blowing values that transform what most people see as an ordinary piece of pocket change into something so rare and extraordinary that collectors are willing to spend unimaginable sums of money just to get their hands on it. And today our spotlight is on the 2016 D 1-cent coin, a coin that by face value is worth only a single penny. Yet due to its unique errors, minting mistakes, and the incredible possibilities surrounding its production, has reached a staggering estimated worth of $273 million, making it one of the most astonishing and talked about stories in the history of modern numismatics. So sit back, because we're going to explore why this single cent has captivated collectors, historians, and investors all over the world, and why what might look like a simple coin in circulation could secretly hold the key to life-changing wealth. And to understand this, we need to first take a closer look at the background of the 2016 penny itself, minted at the Denver Mint, which has been known throughout history to produce billions of coins. Yet within these billions there can be accidents, mistakes, and anomalies that slip past quality control, leading to coins with doubled dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, planchet errors, wrong metal compositions, and other strange defects that become highly collectible rarities. And the 2016 penny in particular has been tied to multiple unusual error varieties that push its value far beyond ordinary cents, including misaligned dies that cause the design to strike unevenly, double-stamped letters where the inscriptions show ghost-like repetitions, and rare instances of improper alloy mixes that create unusual colors, streaks, or textures on the coin's surface, all of which can make experienced collectors immediately take notice, because error coins are graded not only by rarity but also by the uniqueness of the flaw. And when you have a coin like the 2016 1 cent with reports of extreme double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile appears almost shadowed by an overlapping second image, and doubled inscriptions on "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" that give the coin an almost three-dimensional, distorted appearance, then you're already talking about a coin that collectors will line up to bid on. But it doesn't stop there, because some 2016 pennies were struck on foreign planchets, meaning that instead of the regular zinc core with copper plating, the coin was struck on a leftover blank intended for a dime or even an experimental metal mix. And such anomalies make the coin even rarer, because they are almost impossible to reproduce and extremely unlikely to survive in circulation. Yet a few slipped through, and as soon as collectors verified them, the frenzy around the 2016 penny skyrocketed, with auction houses reporting massive bids that only climbed higher as news spread, and suddenly the legend of the $273 million penny was born, not just because of a single error, but because of a combination of possibilities: off-center strikes that create crescent-shaped blanks, coins with missing letters where the die didn't fully strike, coins with die breaks that leave raised lines or cracks across Lincoln's face or the shield on the reverse, and even coins struck multiple times that show overlapping shields, lettering, and outlines, each error telling a unique story about what was happening in the minting process at that exact moment, almost like capturing lightning in a bottle. And what truly pushes the value into astronomical territory is the combination of rarity, demand, and the excitement of discovery, because collectors know that with billions of pennies minted in 2016, the chance of finding one of these rare errors is almost like winning the lottery, and that lottery-like quality is what drives the hype, with collectors willing to pay more and more, until the market itself defines the worth of the coin. And in this case that worth has climbed so high that the 2016 penny is now cemented in history as a multi-hundred-million-dollar treasure. But imagine holding a coin like that in your hand, something you might have once tossed into a jar, slipped into a vending machine, or ignored at the bottom of your pocket, now suddenly worth more than a mansion, more than luxury cars, more than what most people could ever dream of, all because of a flaw. And the irony is that what was once considered a mistake, something the mint would normally try to avoid, has become the very reason the coin is celebrated, because perfection is common, but imperfection in the world of coins can mean fortune. And when you dive deeper into the 2016 penny errors, you begin to see just how fascinating the possibilities are. Like the rare broad strike errors where the coin expands larger than its normal diameter because it was struck without the restraining collar, giving it a stretched, pancake-like shape, or the striking on misaligned dies where only half of Lincoln's head might appear, leaving blank spaces and surreal distortions, or dramatic off-metal errors where the coin was struck on planchets of completely different denomination, sometimes copper-nickel dime planchets or even foreign currency planchets, creating weight and size anomalies that collectors crave. And then there are the coins with dramatic die cracks, sometimes forming shapes that collectors nickname, like cracks that form across Lincoln's skull that enthusiasts call Scarface varieties, or shield cracks that look like lightning bolts striking across the reverse. And with each unique error, a new layer of desirability builds, and that desirability is what creates an unstoppable momentum in the marketplace. Because when there are only a handful known in the world, or in some cases only a single specimen, collectors know they must outbid everyone else if they want to own it, and as these bidding wars escalate, the legend of the 2016 penny grows, turning it from just a coin into a cultural icon, a symbol of the hidden treasures that might still be out there waiting to be discovered in someone's pocket change, and that possibility excites people, because the thought that anyone, anywhere, at any time could stumble upon a coin worth millions gives the story a magical allure, and that allure is exactly why the 2016 penny now stands at an estimated $273 million, because in numismatics it's not just about the metal, it's about the story, the rarity, the human fascination with mistakes that turn ordinary into extraordinary, and when you think about the fact that this penny still circulates, that one might be sitting quietly in a jar in someone's kitchen or buried under years of change in a drawer, you realize that the mystery is still alive, and every time someone flips through their spare coins, the dream is there, the dream of discovering a treasure worth more than anything they could imagine, and that dream fuels the entire world of coin collecting, making the 2016 penny not just an error coin but a legend, a phenomenon, and a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest value. And with that said, this incredible journey through the story of the 2016 1-cent coin valued at $273 million shows us how errors and mistakes that were never meant to exist can actually become priceless treasures, forever changing the lives of those who discover them. So keep looking closely at your change, because you never know what you might find, and make sure to stay tuned, because the world of rare coins is full of surprises and mysteries just waiting to be uncovered. Last 1983 1-cent USA coin, everyone to this fascinating deep dive into one of the most astonishing and unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins, where a seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change, the 1983 1-cent coin, has been talked about as being worth an eye-popping $272 million because of its mysterious errors, incredible mistakes, and the extraordinary possibilities that collectors, enthusiasts, and experts believe give it such a legendary value. And in this journey together, we will explore every angle of how a coin that looks so normal at first glance could actually be hiding secrets that turn it into a piece of numismatic history unlike any other, because when we think of a 1-cent coin minted in Denver in 1983, most people would imagine it as just a small copper-plated zinc coin, weighing 2.5 grams. With the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, yet what makes this particular issue stand out is not its design but the array of unusual errors, dramatic minting mistakes, and striking anomalies that collectors have observed and theorized about, with some examples becoming so famous that they have been auctioned for life-changing sums, and it is within these layers of mystery and excitement that we find the reason why a coin like this could ever be valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. So let us peel back the layers, starting with the fact that 1983 was only the second full year of production for the copper-plated zinc cent after the U.S. Mint had shifted away from the heavier copper alloy in 1982 due to rising copper prices, and whenever a new composition is introduced, especially in such high volumes, errors become more likely, so the 1983 coin comes with a host of possible transitional mistakes, including the extremely rare and famous 1983 double die reverse where the inscriptions such as 1 cent and United States of America appear doubled, a striking feature that is visible even without magnification, and the moment collectors discovered this anomaly, it created a rush of excitement because doubling errors are among the most prized mistakes in coin collecting, as they directly reveal mechanical misalignments and mishaps in the die-making process. But beyond this well-known double die, the 1983 coin also carries potential off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, die clashes, planchet errors, and even the legendary wrong planchet strikes, meaning that some coins were accidentally struck on copper planchets instead of the intended zinc cores, which made certain examples far heavier, closer to 3.1 grams instead of 2.5, and these mistakes transformed what would otherwise be a penny into a rarity worth thousands, tens of thousands, and in extreme speculative storytelling even hundreds of millions when factoring in rarity, condition, and collector demand. And as we continue, imagine the thrill of finding a 1983 penny in your change only to realize it has an error like an off-metal strike, because one of the holy grails for this year is indeed a copper 1983 D cent confirmed by specialists, and these are so rare that they are often considered unique specimens, leading to astronomical auction values. And in the fascinating world of numismatics, rarity plus condition equals value, so if you add in the possibility of mint state perfection, full strike details, and errors that are virtually unheard of in circulation, suddenly the math starts to build a story of why a single cent could theoretically be attached to valuations in the hundreds of millions when magnified by collector obsession and myth-making. And it's not only the known errors but also the possibilities that feed into the legend, because the US Mint struck billions of 1983 D pennies, yet the vast scale of production opens up tiny windows for mistakes. From double dies on both obverse and reverse, to dramatic misalignments, rotated dies where the reverse is turned drastically in relation to the obverse, or striking on foreign planchets left over in the minting presses, all of which would create error types so rare that even seasoned experts have difficulty putting a price on them, and when such coins surface they often break previous auction records, pushing values into uncharted territory. And what makes the $272 million figure fascinating is the idea of compounded rarity, like having a coin that is not only a wrong planchet strike but also shows a dramatic die clash, and perhaps also carries doubling on the date or mint mark, creating a one-of-a-kind specimen that becomes priceless to collectors willing to pay almost anything to own it. And as we dive deeper, it's worth remembering that coin collecting is not just about the metal but about history, story, and provenance, and so the 1983 D penny gains additional mystique from its place in history as part of the early years of the zinc cent era, which was controversial and marked by collector debate over the loss of the traditional copper alloy, giving any transitional or error coin from this period a heightened aura of importance. And auction houses thrive on these narratives because when a coin comes up for bidding with a dramatic backstory, collectors become locked in fierce competition, and prices climb into unimaginable figures, with some coins entering museums and private collections where their value becomes symbolic more than financial, and that symbolism is what allows numbers like $272 million to be attached to a cent, because for the right buyer, owning a piece of numismatic history that is unique and unmatched is worth far more than its weight in gold or diamonds. And continuing with the types of mistakes, one must not overlook the famous die cracks, which create raised lines across the coin's surface, sometimes even forming dramatic shapes like what collectors call cuds, where parts of the design are missing due to a broken die. And these varieties are adored because they demonstrate the fragility of the minting process, while die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leave ghostly impressions of Lincoln's portrait behind the memorial or vice versa, creating surreal designs that turn a regular coin into an accidental piece of abstract art. And when a 1983 D penny shows multiple overlapping errors, its uniqueness multiplies, making it virtually priceless. And in terms of possibilities, there is also speculation about experimental planchets, because the mint is known to have tested different metal combinations, and if even a single experimental alloy coin from 1983 D were confirmed, its rarity would catapult its value into untouchable territory. And let us not forget condition, as a coin graded MS 70 by major grading services would already be exceedingly rare even without errors, but if paired with a dramatic double die, wrong planchet, or other mistakes, it becomes the kind of piece that collectors dream about, sparking legends and endless discussions in forums, conventions, and collector circles, where speculation often fuels prices beyond traditional valuation models. And as we keep expanding, imagine the provenance factor, where a coin is tied to famous collectors, celebrities, or major historical events, adding a layer of narrative that could double or triple its perceived worth, because rarity plus story equals legend, and legends are what drive astronomical valuations like the $272 million figure attached to the 1983 D penny, making it not just a coin but a cultural artifact, a conversation piece, and a symbol of how human fascination can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. And when we think of other record-breaking coins like the 1933 Double Eagle, which sold for over $18 million, or the 1794 flowing hair dollar at over $10 million, we see a pattern where rarity, legality, story, and demand come together to break records. So if such elements converge in a 1983 D penny with spectacular errors, There is no ceiling on what it could fetch, because collectors with unlimited resources will compete to secure it, and this is why enthusiasts talk about it with such passion, because the coin represents the ultimate what-if, the dream of finding unimaginable wealth hidden in a single cent. And that dream is what keeps coin roll hunters, metal detectorists, and treasure seekers searching, because the idea that a penny in your pocket could secretly be worth millions, or even $272 million, is the ultimate thrill. And as this story unfolds, we realize that the 1983 D cent is more than just a small copper-plated zinc coin. It is a symbol of possibility, human imagination, and the strange ways in which history, error, and desire can intersect to create value far beyond reason. And with that sense of wonder, the legend of the 1983 D penny continues to grow, captivating collectors around the world and reminding us all that sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest stories.